Welcome to Victorious Parenting. I'm your host, Arabella Hill. Now's the time to transform your home life and make parenting a breeze by learning and applying new strategies. Let's get into it. Welcome to Victorious Parenting. We're going to continue our discussion today about emotional intelligence. So, how do we know what emotional intelligence actually does for children? Well, let's discuss it. Kids with high levels of emotional intelligence have three distinct advantages over their peers that skyrockets their success in adulthood. These kids have more empathy, which means they are able to understand people on a deeper level. This results in well-connected relationships that last a lifetime. Kids who are highly emotionally intelligent are highly self-aware. This means they are able to understand their feelings and the root causes behind their feelings a lot better. This makes them better communicators and are a joy to be around. So let's look at that a little bit. Understanding your feelings. Sometimes our children just can scream and cry, especially when they're little, and it's difficult to know why they're acting in that way. It can seem that it comes out of nowhere, but it's because they don't understand their feelings. Perhaps they just need a nap. Perhaps they need some water, or they feel uncomfortable. They're a little bit hot or a little bit too cold. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they want a drink or, need a little bit of a snack. But instead of saying, hey, I need these things, Mom, or hey, I need these things, Dad, they will often throw themselves on the floor, they will throw tantrums, they will cry, and they will have all these external behavioral mechanisms that can leave us feeling drained and overwhelmed and confused. So building emotional intelligence in your kids is really important because it helps them to understand their feelings and the root causes behind their feelings. It allows them to find labels for their emotions and feelings. A part of building emotional intelligence within your kids is helping them to label how they feel. Okay, so they might be throwing themselves on the floor. You notice, you know your child well. Like when my son was doing it when he was younger, I knew when he was tired and when he was hungry. So would I ask him, are you feeling a little bit tired? Often he would say no. And I would say, would you like to come for a cuddle? And then if he did want to come for a cuddle, wanted to have a lay down, I'd say to him, see, you were tired, and help him to understand how he was feeling. My son would often throw a tantrum when he wanted a drink of milk because he didn't ask me for a drink of milk. He would just point to the refrigerator and then just start crying and things like that. I knew he wanted milk. So instead of just giving in to him or getting angry that he was crying, I would say to him, would you like a drink of milk? And if he didn't answer, I would get the milk out, show him, would you like a drink of milk? And then he would nod or say yes in between fits of crying. And then I would say, okay, if you want this milk, you must ask me for the milk. And he was about 2.5, 3 years old at the time. So then I would make him stop and calm down and ask me nicely for the milk. Because he's just used to getting his way. At times when he was younger, he would just cry and I knew what he needed. So then I would give it to him without him having to really explain to me what he needed. So it kind of made a bit of a habit for him of just crying and getting something because I just intuitively knew when he was a lot younger what he needed. So then I had to stop him and make him label his feelings. I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty, Mom. May I have a drink of milk? And I did this with him day in, day out, every time this situation occurred. And that's what it means to start building emotional intelligence within your kids. That's just one little element of it. And of course, there's a lot more deepness to it. I'm just giving a bit of a preview for the sake of this show we're doing here. So helping children to understand how they're feeling and the root causes behind their feelings makes them better communicators. And that's what I started seeing in my son. I started seeing that instead of just throwing a fit or a tantrum, not just with that one particular issue, with other issues, because it permeated his entire behavioral range, he started becoming a better communicator and asking me for things and being able to locate and identify how he felt and then what he needed to make himself feel better. And it became easier in that way to parent him. I also use these strategies in my classroom when I taught online. For those of you who don't know, I was a English teacher, and I taught children from all over the world online. I taught thousands and thousands of classes, and I taught children from the age of about 3 years old, ranging up to 19 years old over a long period of time. And they were in countries like China and Japan, Dubai, even some that were in America who were going over there as immigrants as well, who didn't understand English or wanted to study for their English exams. I also taught adults as well. And I use these strategies with the children online. And it worked as well. Imagine doing this with your child and not just doing it online with someone who's not your child. It's even more powerful. I noticed that helping the kids, because sometimes, they would be bored or they're tired. I would just help them understand their feelings and ask me what they want. Ask me. And it was all about fostering better communication, getting down to the root cause of how they were feeling in order to train them to become better communicators. These things do not happen in a vacuum. You are not born highly emotional intelligent. You are not born a great communicator. This must be trained in you. And if this wasn't trained in you as a child, you can teach these skills to yourself. You can continue throughout your lifetime becoming a better communicator, learn how to regulate your own feelings and emotions a lot better, which is amazing because that will model that behavior to your children as well. You can increase your own emotional intelligence by simply starting with understanding how you're feeling, the root cause behind it, and training yourself to become a better communicator. Then your children will see the progress that you're making. You'll be training this in your children as well. And together you will grow as a family. And I can tell you that this makes parenting so much easier, and it makes raising children a joy. All right, beautiful parents, we're going to continue talking about emotional intelligence. I've given you some food for thought and a little homework assignment. Help your children today to understand their feelings. Help them label their feelings and help them to understand the root causes behind their feelings. Without getting angry or frustrated, try to see past the screaming and the crying and throwing themselves on the floor. Try to see the root cause of their behavior and help them to understand it. Help them to become better communicators by modeling that behavior rather than just giving in to them. Taking a moment to get them to actually ask you for what they want, or to verbally label how they are feeling. This will begin the path to unshakable confidence for your kids.
Discover the 7 biggest mistakes parents make that can lower their child's self-esteem forever. PromotingSelfesteem.com.
If you would like access to more parenting resources and a big supportive community, I'd like to invite you to our Facebook group, Victorious Parenting. I give regular content every single day. And we have a unit section where you can find all the best content. There are some short form and long form content in there, like the Grey Rock method and how to deal with sibling rivalry. And as well, you'll get to be a part of a great big community of parents who are becoming victorious just like you. We'd love to have you join us in Victorious Parenting.
Discover the 7 biggest mistakes parents make that can lower their child's self-esteem forever. PromotingSelfesteem.com.